Good morning, everyone. Before I begin, of course, I'd like to acknowledge we're on the unceded traditional territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh people, and we thank them for their generosity to all of us who live on their lands as we move forward, striving to become a true city of reconciliation. Our job is to balance the fire safety risk with the need of providing housing and compassionate care for some of our city's most vulnerable residents. And I just want to stop and emphasize that our approach here, the key principle is compassion, is that these folks that are living rough on the streets are our neighbors, they're our family members, they're sons and daughters, they're real people who need our help. And that's the underlying approach to everything that we do. This has to be a compassionate operation, and it needs to stand in stark contrast to the hatred that we're seeing, the heinous acts of violence against people who are in their worst possible circumstances of life. Our job is to help, to keep people safe, and to get people into a better place. And from our partners in senior levels of government. The bottom line is that we have made good progress in terms of moving people indoors, reducing fire risk, and clearing garbage and refuse from Hastings Street. We've done this by working closely with the province of British Columbia to identify new sources of housing and shelter that we can bring online while we continually work to identify more permanent housing solutions.
The City of Vancouver started the morning with the monumental task of removing structures and tents along Hastings Street.
You don't think these things will be back here next week?
Some started taking down their tents and packing up their belongings, but the question on everyone's mind, where to go next?
It's a darn good question. Honestly, probably nowhere. I think at this point, I really don't have any other options, so I'm probably just going to stay where I am.
It's like the same thing with the housing when we had Tent City last time. They said they were going to get us housing. Nothing.
In the absence of immediate housing options for people who are homeless, we're also implementing and really focused on this, implementing a number of measures to support people who are sheltering outdoors across the cities and to address a number of concerns that we've heard from the community. First, we're making a concerted effort to communicate with the folks on the street and provide information about the resources and supports that are available. Our staff are engaging directly with them on a daily basis, and we're regularly distributing information in the form of flyers to the people on the street.
Flyers threatening to torch tents and belongings on sidewalks were found on Monday. It also vows to burn down the Insight supervised injection site if homeless people don't move. It's unclear who printed the flyers, but police say they're trying to find them.
As a resident of Vancouver's downtown east side, Randy Crossan has witnessed dozens of the city's street sweeps, a practice he says is degrading and hurtful.
Even if it's just a sleeping bag and a pair of socks, that's the difference between me having dry feet and a warm place to sleep.
The city says daily sweeps are aimed at removing garbage and abandoned structures, but Crossan insists crews often throw out people's personal belongings.
I'd just gone around the corner to go to the washroom, and I see 3 city workers and 2 cops standing there. He says, "Oh, they're taking this garbage." I said, "That's not garbage, that's all my possessions."
Crossan, who was in a wheelchair at the time, says he then watched crews with pitchforks throw his only source of shelter into the back of a truck.
And I'm telling you from my heart, there's tears running down my cheeks. That killed me.
Advocates say dismantling temporary structures and displacing those who rely on the use of public spaces is entrenching homelessness.
They don't end up going to indoor sheltering. They end up getting shuffled along the block.
In a statement to CBC News, the City of Vancouver says they sincerely regret and apologize for any harm and trauma that has been created. But City Councillor Jean Swanson says an apology isn't enough. Earlier this week, she brought forward a motion to stop street sweeps and hear feedback from those impacted. That motion was referred to staff to deal with down the line.
That the response of referring it demonstrated the lack of humanity.
Advocates are calling on the city to develop an alternative community-led process for clearing the streets using peer workers rather than police. News.